Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the FPL show. It is the preview for Gameweek 10. I'm joined once again by Rod and Danny. How you doing, boys?
I am good. Very, very good. Looking forward to Gameweek 10 and looking forward to maybe the first Villa win in 4.
Oh, that would be very optimistic of you, Rod. Danny, how you doing, mate?
I'm going to be optimistic as well, and I'm going to say this is going to be the first United win in 4 as well.
Okay.
But regardless, that's the game week, and we'll talk about that later. Go on, Jack.
Yeah, let's get into it straight away, boys. Obviously, Danny, you had a shit week. I'll be kind by saying that. What transfers are you looking at making, man?
God. Where to start?
Everyone.
I'm not going to panic and use my free hit just yet. Probably taking out Alonso. I don't know why I had him in, considering Ben Chilwell's been in such good form. So swapping Marcos Alonso out for Chilwell, probably. Taking out Mason Greenwood because he's a United player and United are awful. I think, I don't know, I might stick with Vardy, but it's mainly going to be about doing the easy thing and captaining Salah. I don't know why I captained Vardy. And I do have a few West Ham players other than Antonio that haven't really been performing. Ben Rama hasn't scored or anything in a good few weeks now. So maybe taking him out and bringing in someone with a bit more sort of maybe Huang, but we'll talk about that later. My team isn't that bad, really. I just don't know what it is. I think it's bad luck, boys. I think, I just had the worst luck out of everyone.
I think it's the manager. He's not galvanising the voice in the dressing room. Rod, what are you looking at doing? I know you've got a couple things in your head, as you always do. You're very into your fantasy and you like to look out for players playing too much, not enough and stuff like that. So what are you going to do?
So, yeah, I've got a couple things in my mind where obviously I need to look at the City game today in the League Cup, who plays for them. If Cancelo and Diaz play, I am a bit concerned about their minutes for the weekend. But we also have Vardy, who's flagged with an injury. We need to find out from the pressers later on in the week if he's fit. Apparently, Rafinha should be okay for the weekend. That's good. But say Vardy is out, I am potentially looking at either a Jesus or a Ronaldo. And then, depending how I feel towards the weekend, I am thinking about whether to ship Cancelo or Diaz for Chilwell. But I don't want to have a week where, for example, I keep Cancelo and I bring in Chilwell for Diaz, where Cancelo and Chilwell don't play. So there's a bit of tinkering to do, and it all kind of comes down to whether Vardy's injured and with who plays tonight in the City game as well. So there's just some thoughts.
Yeah, man, that's wow. You take this shit so seriously, but no, fair enough, man. For me, I've just been looking at getting rid of Lukaku. Obviously, he's a big chunk of money to just have there on the bench not playing. And I really want to improve my squad in general so I can have a more playable bench. At the moment, I've got Aubameyang and I've got Duffy, who I'm looking to move out, as well as Sissoko and Ben Rama. But for this week, I only had the one free transfer, so I took out Lukaku, and I have made the decision to bring in Hwang Hee-chan. Just looking at him, for 5.7 million, I think he's a brilliant option. First of all, if you look at his history, he got 8 points the other day. No, he didn't. Sorry. No, he got 8 points against Watford. I don't know how many he got against Leeds, but he got 13 points against Newcastle. Oh, he got 8 points against Leeds. So he's averaging, I'd probably say around 5, 6, something like that. And for 5.7 million, I think he's a brilliant option when you look at the fixtures coming forward for Wolverhampton. They got Everton, Palace, West Ham, Norwich, Burnley before they have a couple tricky fixtures with City, Brighton, Chelsea, Liverpool, and then back to the same old United and Watford, I guess. But yeah, I think he's looked in really great form of late, and definitely someone you should be looking at bringing in if you are looking to maybe ship off Lukaku or Ronaldo, who I would, if I did have I would consider shipping off. So now I've got 7.1 million in the bank. Looking at upgrading the likes of Ben Rama and Duffy. But, you know, until I can get a couple more free transfers, we'll have to wait and see. My team, for next week is Sanchez, Trent, Livramento, Robertson, Rafinha, Ben Rama, Gray, Salah, and Antonio, Jesus, and Hwang Hee-chan. So I'm pretty confident I'm going to have a pretty decent week again. And I'm not sure who I'm going to captain yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be Salah, Rod.
I think essentially the effective ownership of Salah this week is going to be close to 200%. So if you do go against the grain and captain someone else and it backfires and Salah does haul, your rank is going to plummet. Whereas if you do captain Salah, then you can kind of use him as a springboard to look at other players who are going to get you points. Because with him going to be so highly captained this week, if you do captain him and he does nothing, your rank isn't going to suffer. Whereas if you don't captain him and he does haul, you are going to suffer a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think coming up against Brighton, I'd say their maybe defense is maybe the weakest part of their game. And you saw the likes of City were able to cut through them in the first half on the counter-attack and stuff like that. And I have no doubt that Salah is probably going to bag at least one or two this weekend. So I think he is the right choice. Danny, are you going to captain Vardy again?
No, I think, as Rod just said, he perfectly explained. If I captain Salah and he has a dud, I'm not going to miss out because everyone else is going to miss out. I tried to be too smart about it by captaining Vardy. You know, I'm trying to play this 4D chess and it just always backfires. But yeah, I'm as you said, Hwang Hee-chan, I'm looking at him. The Beast, I believe his nickname is.
The Bull. The
Bull, that's it. Oh, I love that nick. I love it when players have nicknames.
That's what they used to call me, the Night Shift Bull, Danny.
Exactly. Go on, Jack.
Oh, no, I just, I think he probably is a good option for you. And like you said, Rob bringing up a very good point that Salah is the most captain player. And you're probably putting yourself at a disadvantage not captaining him, unless you are someone who knows something. We are obviously not. So there you go. Boys, I want to come on and talk to you about Arsenal. They're in some really good form at the moment. They're coming off the draw against Palace and the win against Villa, in which they look very good. There's a player who's being talked about a lot at the moment because he did go a bit mercenary, where he got the new contract and decided to stop playing. But I want to talk to you boys about Aubameyang. He looks to be coming back into a little bit of form. We did, however, curse Harry Kane last week when we said he's back. So maybe not do that this week. But with the likes of Ronaldo and Lukaku not really being able to show up at the moment, Lukaku through injury and Ronaldo because he's got a wally of a manager, how, is it going to be an effective move to maybe look to get someone like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in your team?
I think that's the thing with Lukaku being now injured. There are now more options that you can go up front with. Obviously, people aren't going to be really looking at Kane with his poor run of form. Ronaldo is a bit of a risk, and you can afford to begin to look at other options. And like you said, Arsenal have been good as of late, and Aubameyang is a big part of that. So,
Aubameyang, yeah,
does take penalties, so he's definitely one to look out for. And if you are, like I did say about the Salah captaincy, it's good to look at other players who will score you points and put you up the rankings. And Aubameyang is definitely one who could do that.
Yeah, and I think with Salah being the most capped player, obviously you can't go, well, I guess it's kind of like a meta. There are certain players you have to have basically in fantasy to be successful. I'd say like one of the Liverpool defenders is definitely someone you want, either if it's Robbo or Trent or both. But I think you have to start looking at some options who are going to separate you from the other players in your league and just like in general. I think Aubameyang could be one of those, and his fixture run coming isn't the easiest, but it certainly isn't the hardest. He's got Leicester, Watford, followed by a very hard game in Newcastle. Then he's got Liverpool, and then he's got a struggling United side, following by Everton and Southampton, West Ham United and Leeds. and Norwich in game week 19, which is a really decent run, I'd say. It's not, obviously you got the Liverpool game in there, which is going to be hard, Danny, but other than that, you'd say you could look at Aubameyang potentially picking up quite a few goals.
Yeah, I think he is the expensive replacement to Ronaldo and Lukaku. And the thing with Aubameyang is, I feel like you were saying he's a mercenary, and I think he is a bit of a mercenary.
No, I said he went for a mercenary patch where he got his contract
just
and
through
stopped
like
playing.
a stage. Yeah, I think he's like one of those players where if the team is playing well, he's going to be amongst the goals. It's just that Arsenal was so poor last season that he just looked shocking as well as a byproduct of that. But because Arsenal are playing well, we're like, Aubameyang, he's been going decent, scored a few goals. And I think he is one of those players that he's not going to stand out like from the team. He plays with the team in terms of he'll play well if the team plays well. And so if you're looking, as you said, you just said the Arsenal fixture list. If you look at the fixture list and think, you know what, he could be a player because he plays well when the team is playing well.
Yeah.
Definitely an expensive replacement. You could get some cheaper options that could probably score you just as many goals. Like I think we will have Antonio. Someone like that is probably going to be cheaper and better for you. Go on.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note with Danny saying he's an expensive replacement, he is only 10 million. He is 0.8 million cheaper than Vardy. He's 2.5 million cheaper than Ronaldo, 2.1 cheaper than Kane.
He's in that bracket though, isn't he? Like just about in the bottom of that top bracket, I would say, the 10 million mark.
But like we were going on about going up the rankings, he is only owned by 4% of players, meaning say you do bring him in and he does hold, that will definitely fire you far up the rankings. But it's a risk because we know exactly what Arsenal are like, and you raise a good point where it's probably better to bring in someone more consistent, someone you know who will score. And if you haven't got Antonio at this point, you're playing the game all wrong.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, like he is a meta. I'd say you're looking at Antonio being part of the meta. I'd say Livramento is as well because of how, you know, their price and their, you know, capability to score points. I think Hwang Hee-chan is someone who could fit into that as well coming up. But on the week, Rod, that Mati Kaczynski has, you know, announced he is a Polish person, I think. I want to talk about Villa, Rod. And, you know, how likely is it that they are going to move back to the four at the back, where I think it'd be a really good move in terms of fantasy, Rod, where, you know, I think Villa have quite a few players who actually suit playing the four at the back better. I think your fixtures coming up, I think the next game's pretty difficult, but then after that, you've got a couple winnable games. And the likes of Leon Bailey and, Buendia, I think even Ings and Watkins might be worth a shout. But if they go back to the fullback, how likely do you think it is that they're going to go back to the fullback? And, you know, are you looking at maybe bringing in the likes of Bailey or Buendia? Hello?
Apologies, I didn't realise my microphone was muted.
Oh, right. Wait, just we'll tell Danny to
cut,
yeah. And then you can just talk now.
Danny's gone for a piss, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll tell him he'll have to do a cut after I stop.
Okay. So,
all right, but you can go now. Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1. So with us obviously going back to the fallback against Arsenal, I was thinking, right, we look better. Okay, from now on, this could be the system. But with Dean Smith coming out after the game and saying that we're probably going to stay with the 5-back and it's not the system that didn't work, it's other things, I'm less certain. But like we saw Watkins go out wide, we saw Bailey on the right. I think like we have to go back to the 4-back. It's where we're most confident and it's where we have the players where Axel, Mings and Konza, they don't work as a back three. So I think we've got to go back to the 4-3-3 and Dean Smith has to find the balls to drop either Watkins or Ings, because they are eventually going to lead to our downfall, because those two do not work as a partnership. And I want to see Buendia on the right or Bailey on the right, and then Buendia on the left, or Bailey on the right, on the left. So those two out on the wings with a striker through the middle, with a midfield of Douglas Luiz, McGinn, and Ramsey, because that's what I think works. Even maybe Sanson. Like, we've got options, and I just want to see. I don't want to see us at this 5-back, and I want to see us with this 4.
What about even dropping the likes of maybe a Ramsey, so you can bring in either Watkins on the wing, or maybe someone like Now Ghazi or Bertrand Traore, Rod?
That's exactly what I'm on about. Like, we haven't had options like this before, and if
you're wasting it.
And we're completely wasting it with this 5-back, which hasn't worked for weeks, and we can't go at teams like we did Chelsea because the organisation is different. So, yeah, like you said, the options are there, and it's interesting to see what he's going to do, but I'm not too sure that he knows himself what to do with all these players.
And I think in terms of fantasy, if they do go back to this back 4, Buendia and Bailey, their prices are really good. 6.3 for Buendia and 6.4 for Bailey. And they're players who really like to get involved in the action. I think Buendia, if he potentially goes to a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 and cut him off the right, I think you'd be more effective, to be honest, in the team. I think the likes of having Bailey in the team makes you much more of an explosive team on the counter-attack. It's going to be really interesting to see, Rod. And I think maybe if you do lose against West Ham this weekend, it could be actually more rewarding for you because of you going back to a back 4.
Bailey's pace and brings excitement. It brings so much entertainment. And Buendia at Norwich, he got his best numbers playing on the right side. And he can play 10, but he's not most effective there. And for us to keep persisting with him playing 10, it's just not going to work. And I hope something changes in the game against West Ham, because if it doesn't, I do feel like people are going to begin to get on Smith's back. And obviously, we are still only 9 games in, but you don't want to be getting cut adrift this early. You want to be running with the pack. And I'm concerned if we keep persisting with a formation and a system that hasn't worked for a long time.
Yeah, and like you said, we are only 9 games in, but it's getting to the point now where you saw Ranieri come in for Cisco. Looks like OLE is potentially on his way out, especially if he can't get a result this weekend against Spurs. Dean Smith's got a lot of pressure on him. I think he is a good coach, and it is kind of almost surprising that you've lost 3 losses on the back. You've had 3 losses on the bounce back to back now, anyway, and if he doesn't change something, it would be quite a bit of a shock to me anyway. I think now we should go into the fixtures for next week, talk about some players who maybe are highlighted sort of player in this game for FPL reasons, stuff like that. So we'll start with the early game at 12:30 on a Saturday at the King Power Stadium. Rod, we love it with their clappers. I just want to know, how do you see this game going?
I do feel like this is going to be an exciting game, and realising that it was a half past 12 game is putting me off Aubameyang a little bit, because I don't tend to back players in the early kickoff. But I do see, I don't know. I see a draw. I'm going to be honest with you. I see an open draw, and I think it's going to be 2-2.
What about you, Danny?
I completely agree with Rod. I think these two teams are in a sort of similar level in terms of their squad, their form. Both have been in decent form. Both have had a couple of good wins. And I can't really see anything to separate them, other than the fact that I do believe that if we're looking at recent history, Leicester do always seem to smack Arsenal up, and Vardy always seems to score. So, but I am going to go with Rod for a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, chat shit, get banged. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to go with a Leicester win. I think Brendan Rodgers is probably more of a proven manager than Mikel Arteta. And I'm a bigger fan of the Leicester squad. I think they got better depth. I think the midfield's going to prove really important in this game. And if Arsenal can't get a hold on the midfield, I think they're really going to struggle. I do think they can get at the Leicester defence, but I do see Leicester winning this one, potentially 3-1, I'd say, even without Vardy, which it looks like they may be without Vardy. I think Patson Daka, from what I've seen of him so far, looks like a proper baller. Anyway, moving on. It's 3 o'clock. It's Turf Moor. Burnley, Brentford. Let's go to Danny first. Sorry, how do you see this one going, Danny?
I'm going to go for a Burnley win, This is the sort of game like Burnley seem to win, a home game against sort of a rival in many respects, although Brentford are doing amazingly. But I do think Brentford are a bit better at home, and I think Burnley will use their height, will use their power and, corner, maybe get in a goal. But nothing too much between these two teams, maybe 1-0 Burnley for me.
Fair enough. I'll go next. I think this game's probably going to be a draw. I think Brentford are going to be the better team in the game, probably have a better XG, but I don't think they're the most clinical side. I think Tony's being, I wouldn't say disappointing, but I think he might be a bit disappointed in himself for some of the chances he's had but not taken. Therefore, I'm going to go with a 0-0 draw. Rod, how do you see it going?
I think this is, like Danny said, it's going to be a close game, and Brentford seems to have an issue with scoring. They do struggle to score, and that's what Burnley have at times as well, with Chris Wood sometimes not being effective and Ashley Barnes. So I do see it being a close game, but I think Brentford might just edge it 1-0.
Fair enough. This is the pick of the 3 o'clock kickoffs for me. It's Liverpool at home against Brighton. I'll go first. I think Liverpool are probably going to win this game, but I think Brighton are going to give themselves a good account again, but maybe on the receiving end of quite a few goals. I'm going to go with a 3-1 Liverpool win, Salah hat-trick again. Rod?
I think this is a game where, with captain and Salah, you want goals, but Brighton are not an easy outfit to score against. And I do feel it will be a difficult game for Liverpool to start with, but then being at home with the run of form they're on, I do think they will win, and I think they're going to win 2-0 because Brighton, they also have an issue scoring, and Liverpool's defence at this current moment in time has been brilliant. The resurgence of Van Dijk coming back from injury has been vital to them. So yeah, 2-0 Liverpool, I think.
Fair enough. Danny?
I think this game is going to mirror the Brighton game from last week against City, where Brighton give a good account for themselves, but in the end of the day, they're playing as a side that is just so much better. And Liverpool being at home, Salah in such amazing form, you can't. I think I'm going to agree with you, Jack. I think you said 3-1 Liverpool. I'm going to agree with that.
Fair enough. City play Crystal Palace at the Etihad at 3 o'clock as well. I think this is a very intriguing game, and it's going to really be decided on how well Crystal Palace can defend. I see this one going probably in the way of City, but I think they're going to, once again, I think Crystal Palace are going to give a good account of themselves. Obviously, there's a fraud going up against a very loved manager in Patrick Vieira. So, yeah, you know what? I'm going to say Palace get a win. I feel it in my fingers.
Putting your balls on the chopping block, as we said earlier on.
Yeah, I am. You know what? Palace win, Benteke header. 1-0, Palace. Rob?
This is, for me, the sort of game City could lose, and we know that Palace do have a good record playing against Man City, with a couple of years ago Andros Townsend scoring an absolute worldie. But City probably do have the class to overpower them, and I am going to go with a 3-1 City win, but Benteke will score for Palace, I believe.
Fair enough. Danny?
Here's a little fact. It's another one of Vieira's former clubs, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
And I believe he coached there as well, didn't he? He
did, yeah. I think he was the youth team. Yeah,
so again, Vieira has some ties to the club like last week. But as much as I've been impressed with Palace, and I've done a U-turn on Vieira and my view of him, I just think City just gonna have way too much for them, and I'm gonna go complete opposite of you, Jack, and say 4-0 Man City.
Okay, fair enough. Newcastle at home against Chelsea. I think this game probably going to be pretty one-sided. I'll go for a 4-0 Chelsea. How do you see it, Danny?
I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw. I think Chelsea are going to underestimate Newcastle. There's going to be a big atmosphere there again because of the Saudis, and I don't know. It's just Newcastle going to do something miraculous. I can feel it. It.
Okay, Rod.
I'm completely opposite to Danny, where, like you said, Jack, this is going to be a one-sided game. But I don't think goals are going to show it's that one-sided. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 Chelsea, but they're going to be 2 sloppy goals.
Fair enough. Rod, how do you see Watford and Southampton getting on at Vicarage Road?
I see this one being a draw, actually. I think it's not an easy game for either side, and they are probably 2 sides that will finish close to each other in the table. So I'm going to go for a 1-1. Hopefully another Livramento goal for us.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think Watford are going to get a beating of Southampton. I have been impressed with Southampton lately, but the Tinker Man gets it done again. I'm going to go with a 3-1 Watford win. I don't think Watford have been great at keeping clean sheets, so that's why I'm going to go with the Southampton 1 goal. Yeah, 3-1 Watford. Danny?
3-2 Watford. I think, they're going to get their second win on the bounce. Dilly ding, dilly dong, as Gary says. It's going to be a great. I think it's going to be. I think this will be the pick of the 3:00 kickoffs. I think it's going to be an entertaining. Leaky defenses, goals, drama, but a very 3:00 game as well, where there's a lot of poor defending. So 3-2 Watford for me.
Okay, it brings us on to the 5:30 kickoff between Tottenham Hotspurs and Manchester United. Danny, you're going to be there in the Spurs end, so you're going to be there, but not supporting the boys that much. How do you see it going?
I could be like the shithouse of the week.
You could be.
I could be that guy.
Start chanting Ollie at the wheel, mate, in the Spurs end.
No, I'm really looking forward to this. This is my first game back post-COVID. I went to a Cardiff City game, my local team, Cardiff City, against Brighton 2 months ago, and they got destroyed by. They got destroyed. But this is my first proper Premier League, all Premier League, big stadium.
You're bad luck for the home side, so we could be seeing United on at the wheel.
This is where my prediction is going, Jack. I think this is what happens with Ollie. Like, when all hope is lost, they pull out this weird sort of result. It's not even going to be a good performance, but they're going to win. And it's just going to be like the Glazers are going to give him more time based on this really shoddy win against Spurs, who are awful themselves. But the Glazers are going to see that result. The Bulls going to see it and be like, yes, Ollie in. We're going to keep him on. And then that's going to lead to another string of defeats that will basically ruin United's season.
Get him on the back foot again, then he'll win again, and then United will come good and win the Champions League under Ollie. Or am I dreaming? So how do you actually see the game going?
I think it's going to be 2-1 United, counter-attack goal, Ronaldo penalty as well.
Fair enough. I think this game is going to be won by who is the shittest team is going to win this game. And I think it's going to be hard to decide who is the shittest. But I think United are going to be just shitter. So I think they're going to win with some sort of jammy goal where they're under the cosh a bit for most of the game, but just score. Lindelof punts the ball forward and Rashford scores. That's how I see it going. 1-0 United. Rod?
So on paper, this is exactly a game that you think about Super Sunday. But in reality, it's 2 poor teams currently going through a poor run of form. So I think it is going to be a sloppy game. Like you said, I think it's going to be won by the least shit team. But I am going to go for a United win, and it's going to be a narrow 2-1.
Yeah, just to let it be stood, I think the least shit team's going to lose this game. I think United are going to be so shit that Spurs are going to look just shit. So United win. Yeah, it brings us on to Super Sunday, Rod, with a absolutely extremely positive, brilliant game of football between Norwich and Leeds United at Carrow Road at 2:00, Rod. And this is going to be shit for Norwich. They're going to be saying, "Where are you? We need you." And they're going to be leaking goals again. I think Leeds are going to win this one. 4-1 Rafinha goal.
I do think this is a game where Leeds, you'd hope, will win comfortably. And it's a game they kind of have to win, whether that be comfortably or not, because Norwich are a team close to Leeds. And Leeds, I think they've won. I think they have won one game this year. This could be their second game that they would have won. But the way I see it going is, I think it's going to be a sloppy game. Leeds have been struggling this year, but they will win. But it's not going to be a convincing win. And our thoughts of Leeds being a good team are going to go even further down the toilet. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Leeds, and hopefully a Rafinha double.
Fair enough. Yeah, their only win of the season coming against Watford. Sorry. Yeah, so fair enough. Rafinha double for you, Danny.
I'm going to go Leeds to win as well. This is the game that they have been waiting for to turn their form around. If they could have played anyone after I know they got a draw last week, but again, just not very good. They've been so poor, such a letdown, really, Leeds. This is the game. I think Norwich are just basically going to lie down. They're just going to down their weapons, and they're going to go for Leeds, but Leeds are going to go for them. This is the perfect sort of Leeds game, open game.
Yeah,
they're going to win about 3-1.
Who? Norwich?
Leeds.
Oh, right, Leeds. Yeah, fair enough. I just want to say, lastly, on the Norwich Leeds game, this game is so 3 o'clock. I don't know how it's on the Super Sunday. But yeah, moving on.
Dodgy business going on there, like Sky Sports.
All right, and Villa against West Ham, Rod, at Villa Park, 4:30 Sunday. Tough game.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to it one bit, and I'm happy it's a Sunday, because with the Arsenal game being on a Friday, my weekend was dampened a little bit with this game on the Sunday. Sundays are usually quite sad days because the week is upon us. So fortunately, they can't ruin my weekend this week, and it's probably the worst time to play West Ham because they do look really good and they're going through a great run of form with wins in Europa League, and they're doing well in the league. So I do think we're going to struggle, and I think they're going to beat us 2 or 3-1.
Fair enough. I actually think they're going to batter you as well, because I think Dean Smith's going to stay with the back three. And I just think you're going to be, a bit too defensive against them, give them too much respect. And I think a Bowen and Antonio goal, 2-0 West Ham. Danny, how do you see it, mate?
I think it's going to be a lot closer than you guys are letting on. I think this is, for me, the hardest game to pick of the weekend, in all honesty. I see them at similar sort of levels, but they've just been having similar completely different sort of performances and results. But if I look at those two teams on paper, I think they're very similar sort of quality, and I think Villa, I think they're going to turn it around. I believe in Dean Smith, and I think Leon Bailey's going to score his first goal for Villa as well, but it's not going to be enough to get the win. It's going to be a 2-2 draw.
Second goal.
Okay, Danny, I believe in miracles, you say. Wolves against Everton. Everton even need a miracle because Rafa's a bit under pressure now, I guess, after that 5-2 defeat against Watford. We'll go to Danny to start this one. How do you see it going, mate?
Wolves win. Huang Chi-Chan again, the bull. Everton again. Really, you were going on about Doucouré and how important he has been. The Poundland Yaya Toure.
Don't be that harsh. He's the Aldi Yaya Toure.
Yeah, Aldi's pretty good as well.
Exactly.
And they're missing him, and I think that's what you've been saying, and you're completely right that their midfield just doesn't look the same, and it's made them look a lot weaker. And as soon as he's out of the team, they lose 5-2. So Wolves win again for me. Everton, I think they will get 1 or 2 goals in this, just because of Richarlison being back. Is Calvert-Lewin back anytime soon?
Not too sure about DCL. I don't know if you are, Rod.
Calvert-Lewin, he had some issues with his rehabilitation program, so he's continued to be out, and they're rumouring another 3-4 weeks. So we're out for 6 weeks.
What's the rehab for?
He had a toe problem, and now during the rehab, he's now got an issue with his thigh. So or his quad, one of the two, and so he's gonna extended absence. So they're still without him for another 3-4 weeks. They would reckon until after the international break, and then obviously Decore's still out, but Richarlison is back. So every cloud does have a silver lining. But I do feel that Wolves will probably beat Everton. I think it's going to be a 2-0 win.
Well, it sounds like DCL might be a bit of a fan of the Charlie for me. Based on that, I'm going to go with a Wolves win. I'm going to go with goals from Huang Hee-chan, the Bull, and I'm also going to go with a goal from, I don't even know if he's fit at the moment, but Trincão's going to come on and score a screamer. So there you go. And that is the end of the preview show. Be sure to hit that like and comment below if there's anything you want to see in the future. Please hit the subscribe button if you did watch to the end. It'd mean a lot to us. Until next time,